where were you born?
Where? Yeah. How detailed do you want to know?
Your location, like where were you born?
Yeah.
In the back. Someone told me they were born in the passenger side of a speeding car.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't that.
Phil for you.
No, I was in a normal hospital in Arizona.
Where in Arizona?
Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. But we lived in the desert on a ranch that often flooded. So it was, they weren't entirely sure they were going to get to the hospital, but they did.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, the desert has flash floods all the time. So it just turned out that there was a high chance that they weren't going to be able to drive through the water at certain, there's no guarantees of when the due date was. So it was like as it got closer, the stress of not being able to actually make it into the city was high. So.
Your folks talk about that.
Yeah.
They're like, we didn't know if we were going to have it in a hospital.
Yeah. Because they would get rained out and stuck there for sometimes a week at a time. So
how far out into the country?
Quite a ways. That whole ranch that they lived on when I was born is under water now. The lake expanded to feed Phoenix. So
why is "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" coming?
Yeah,
to me? Is that it's like a roll top with a ring in it somewhere?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So that was like desert scorpions and sidewinder snakes and all the things that you don't want to play with as a baby, but that was like childhood. It's starting.
How long were you out there in the country? How far away was it from Phoenix? Like where was this place?
It was I think an hour plus away from the hospital. So not, but with impassable roads whenever nature decided. So, but then I don't remember that area. We moved before I was old enough to really remember. I just know that, the stories from my parents were that I rode on horses before I walked because my parents had to go work. So I just was on the horse being carried out into the pasture. The cattle that we raised would eat the cactus, the desert cactus. Their tongues were tough enough that they would just eat the cactus and soften the needles with their saliva.
Oh my God. And
then, just giant scorpions and around the well pump and snakes and constant danger,
what were your folks doing?
Babies. Just taking care of the cows and surviving. That's just, what you do when you're on a ranch in the middle of nowhere.
What the heck?
And then we moved to another ranch, which was a little less stressful. And that was, that I remember more of. I was younger, but those are the memories I have the most of being like 2 and 3 and
second ranch.
Yeah. Second ranch. Yeah.
Were your folks ranchers?
Yeah. They became managers for ranches. So we didn't ever own a ranch, but my father would manage the ranch and take care of it and improve it. And
is that a ranch hand?
Yeah, there'd be a ranch hand that would work, but my dad was like the ranch, like the foreman, like the
administrator or something.
The head rancher. Yeah.
Head rancher.
Yeah.
And so he was always a head rancher?
Yeah. It's up until, for a long time.
Is he still a head rancher?
No, he's still a cowboy.
He's still alive?
Yeah. My dad is still, he's still a cowboy, but not a rancher anymore.
He wears boots.
And a hat, yeah.
And a hat.
Yeah.
A Stetson.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you own a Stetson?
I do not.
Do you own boots?
Not anymore.
Oh, man.
No.
Your dad's
when I moved to the city, that was, yeah. I always was, I just described a friend of mine as ranch tough with city sensibilities. And it is the most comforting way to describe like who I became, I think, which was I wanted to be near cities and people, and also like growing up in the middle of nowhere, I just wanted to not be isolated, and as an only child. So it was like, well, I have an animal and me, and that's it. And so and eventually sometimes there'd be like other ranch hands that had kids and I'd play with them a little bit. But yeah, it was, yeah, I wanted to not be a rancher. I survived it and I enjoyed the freedom of it, but I did not want that work of 24 hours a day, waking up and having some emergency or there's just something always going wrong. Ranching is like perpetually just trying to keep things alive that don't want to be.
Or when things constantly trying to kill them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.